Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Therapy with Ari. I'm your host Ari, and in today's episode, I want to talk about a trend I've been noticing in my clients lately, which, while useful and effective in some contexts, seems to have gotten out of hand a bit. I'm talking about this tendency in self-improvement circles towards perfectionism, which is useful to a certain extent, but which just as often simply pushes people to feel like they are never good enough or aren't achieving enough. So today I want to talk about how sometimes continually working to improve yourself can be a good thing, which helps you grow and excel, and how at other times, too much self-improvement can be a trap that prevents you from ever feeling like you're enough. So let's get into it. There's so much advice on social media these days about ways to improve your life. You're told to wake up earlier, to meditate, to journal, to exercise, heal your inner child, learn to set boundaries, take cold showers, and don't even look at carbs, and so much more. And while I don't doubt that so much of this is actually good advice that can help you improve your mental and physical health, it's also exhausting to feel like you have to do all of this before you can feel good about yourself or give yourself permission to relax and just be. And I say this as someone who loves personal growth. It's part of my work and part of my personality. And so, in a sense, I'm speaking from personal experience about this tendency to continually add more and more stuff to do in order to become a better person. It's a sort of spiritual consumerism gone awry. It's a never-ending feeling that you need to constantly add more and more tasks to your to-do list just to feel like you're keeping up. Well, I'm here to remind you that while self-improvement is a necessary and laudable personal practice, something that's missing from this move towards personal growth is the recognition that in all things in life, a sense of groundedness, balance, and scale is necessary for it to remain useful. Or to put it another way, there's such a thing as too much growth, which is future oriented. And without the balancing force of self acceptance and present moment awareness, too much growth becomes toxic. An uncomfortable truth about life is that not everyone's going to be wildly successful, emotionally enlightened, perfectly regulated, or living their dream life. It's completely normal to just be normal, and that's not a moral failure. It's just reality. And the sooner we can come to terms with that, not out of resignation, but out of honesty and alignment with truth, the more free we become. And by the way, I just want to clarify here that when I say just be normal, I'm not saying that you should give up. I'm not saying that you should stop trying to be better or to abandon your goals. What I am saying is that it's probably useful for you to start with what's actually true about you and build up from there. There's nothing noble about trying to become someone you're not. If the reality of that way of thinking means that you're constantly slamming into metaphorical walls, if your self-improvement is just a long attempt to erase your basic temperament, your personality, your history, or your limitations, you're not actually working on making yourself better. You're actually self-rejecting in a deep and profound sense. And sooner or later, this way of living is going to wear you down. Not because you're weak, but because it's exhausting to live in opposition to your own nature. So here are some honest beliefs that I think some people need to hear and incorporate into their thinking. Belief number one, you're not broken if you're average. I want you to pay attention to your internal reaction to this sentence, and especially the word average, because it will tell you a lot about your deep beliefs about what it means to not be special. The truth is that most people are average. That's what average means, and that's totally fine. It's just that we live in a time where average is treated like a failure and where everyone needs to feel special in some way before they can accept themselves. You're allowed to be a normal person with a normal job and a normal life. And while striving to be better is also laudable, you don't need to optimize absolutely everything in your life. You can just live without feeling the need to outdo everyone around you. If done properly, this is the truest form of self-acceptance. Belief number two, effort is good, but self-betrayal is not. Now, as I said earlier, there's a big difference between working to improve and working to become someone you're not. Personal growth makes sense when it's in alignment with your core nature. But if you're trying to force yourself into a personality or lifestyle that goes against the grain of who you are, you'll probably burn out or come up against some other form of resistance. And worse, you'll think that being burnt out means you're the problem, that you're not trying hard enough, that you're weak or a failure, and so on. None of this is true, and I want you to be careful of what self improvement means to you and why you're pursuing it. Is it coming from a deep place inside of yourself? A place where you truly know yourself and genuinely want to better some parts of you that you could improve? Or is it a performative act to please others around you or to convince yourself that you're good enough to be loved? Belief number 3, your limits are part of your design. Limits aren't flaws, they're structural. They're boundaries on what's possible, and they protect your energy and identity. People who accept their limits tend to suffer less, not because they've given up, but because they're living in alignment with their true self. It takes a lot of experimenting and trying different things to find out what your limits are. So again, this is a nuanced point, and I'm not telling you to give up on your goals and just accept your current limits. I'm just trying to help you see that sometimes pushing against a certain limitation just ends up hurting you more. And it takes a lot of honesty with yourself to figure all this out. I know that a lot of people have natural and healthy resistances towards some of these thoughts because, frankly, it's kind of easy for someone to use an idea like, this is just not in line with my nature, as an excuse to get out of certain responsibilities and life demands. That does actually happen very frequently and is kind of repugnant, so it's not a trivial concern. That's something that's between you and your conscience, and only you know whether you're using some of these thoughts as an excuse to get out of real responsibility. That sense of honesty with yourself is really crucial in the process of actual self growth. But many others of you, the ones genuinely working towards some form of self improvement, often need to hear some of these ideas because you're being crushed under the weight of your own, sometimes unrealistic expectations. Your expectations from yourself, your expectations from life, and even from other people. Let me just say it loud and clear for you perfectionists and overachievers out there, genuinely working too hard and being too hard on yourselves. You don't need to be extraordinary to have a good life. You don't need to be remarkable to be worthy. You just need to start with what's true about you, your greatest strengths and biggest weaknesses, and grow from there. You're allowed to be terrible at certain things and to ask for help when you don't know something or need help. You're allowed to just be normal in some things instead of always trying to be perfect or extraordinary at everything. If you find that statement hard to accept, I want you to realize how deep this sense of self judgment is going for you. And ask yourself how much of the weight of this judgment you're willing to carry around with you. Do you have a clear idea of some sort of an end goal where you're just enough? Again, enough doesn't mean stops trying. It just means you're not thinking about yourself in a deprecating manner from the very deepest levels of your self conception. So go ahead, be normal, give yourself breaks, and celebrate your successes no matter how small they might seem. And give yourself credit for every ounce of improvement gained because, well, by allowing yourself to feel good about success, you'll make the process of growth feel good in such a way that it becomes a long term habit that pulls you forward instead of a constant nagging voice of self criticism in the back of your mind. And by the way, this is exactly the kind of existential issue that I deal with in my one on one therapy sessions, precisely because I have personal experience with it. So if this is something that resonates with you and something that you're working on, send me an email and we can set up a consult. As always, take care and see you next time.